India versus Pakistan is one of the most intense, the fiercest sporting rivalries in the world. And in the next 15 days or so, we might see these two teams face off against each other thrice, including the final of the Asia Cup. And what happens in this continental tournament might set the tone for what to expect in the World Cup next month. Now, every time these two teams meet, billions from both sides of the border want to prove to each other that they are better, that they are stronger, and that they are superior. And the geopolitical tension between the two countries magnified that quest to prove their superiority. The non-cricketing world that does not understand this need for one upmanship over the other, for them I'd like to say this. To understand this, you need to see this as not just a conflict between two countries. It is like a conflict between two quarreling brothers, separated during partition, who've grown to resent each other, but who are similar in terms of their culture, food, language, politics. And despite that, the political problems, in fact, between these two countries and political leaders, the politics itself, that has made this reconciliation impossible. And over the years, the bitterness has increased. So when these two countries with crazy, passionate cricket following meet on the pitch, it is more than just cricket. Emotions run high for fans as well as players. If you win, you're a national hero. If you lose, the criticism just completely gets out of hand. Media and fans are unforgiving. Though in the recent times, the madness seems to have reduced, but nevertheless, it is still a huge moment. Hello and a very warm welcome to this special. I have Jamie Alter, who joins me on the show. Chetan Narula is also here with us. Guys, from Amir Sohail, Venkatesh Prasad, in 96, Kiran More, Javed Miadad. Of course, we also remember the 2007 Joginder Sharma moment. I love watching India-Pakistan matches, but I also love doing these shows because we get a chance to talk about these fantastic memories from yesteryears. And I think that's as much fun, if not more. Chetan, you're looking forward to this big one?
Hello, Meha. Yes, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned quite a few incidents. I mean, there are others as well. The 96 World Cup, obviously the 99 World Cup, Venkatesh Prasad getting a fiver, Mohammad Azharuddin half century. Who can forget 2003 World Cup with Sachin Tendulkar and Shoaib, all the setting around it.
Yeah.
And since every game ever since, whether it's Virat Kohli in Kolkata or Virat Kohli in Adelaide, and of course, let's not forget what Pakistan did to India in the 2021 T20 World Cup. They broke the duck finally. So
yeah,
this is much more than just a cricket match. In a cricket World Cup setting, it becomes the center of the cricketing universe. Tomorrow again, it will be the center of the cricketing universe. If there are any other matches, whether it's England, New Zealand, or Australia, South Africa, or any other cricketing match in the world, nobody would care about that because it's all about India and Pakistan. And it's not just the fan. Like, for example, if we are so interested in the Ashes, it's the same over there as well. The English cricket fans, the Australian cricket fans, if you are a cricket fan in any part of the world, you would be concerned about what's happening in India versus Pakistan.
That's also the other thing why this becomes more interesting in recent times, Jamie, is because of the contest that we've seen between these two countries. You know, it is no more especially in World Cups, no more that one-sided dominance of India over Pakistan, right? On the field, we've seen some great contests. I mean, we remember how it was even in the T20 World Cup last year or the Asia Cup last year. It's like one team wins and then the other one comes back. So there is that revenge, the idea of that, in the narrative. There is, of course, I think for Indian fans, they look at Virat Kohli's sixes against Haris Rauf last year and the way Pakistan also then came back and won after that. So I think it's also this, right, that, one team wins and then the opposition comes back and tries to prove a point, tries to get that superiority.
Absolutely. And like we were just discussing, the rivalry when it comes to ICC trophies let's say the one-day World Cup and the T20 World Cup, it was for a long time, it was in fact one-sided, right? But even in there were very few close matches, you know. I think 2007, when that first league match was a bowlout, that was probably the first really close match at ICC events. And then, of course, the final of that very same tournament, which MS Dhoni's team went on to win. Barring that, there have been a couple. I think the Asia Cup has had a couple nail biters, but overall in ICC events, it's not been very close. Fun matches, many memories, heated exchanges, but not close. If, however, you go back to the last couple tournaments, it has been close. Had Virat Kohli not hit those 2 sixes, had Dinesh Karthik, as Chetan keeps saying, on his Disneyland trip, had he not failed, then that match would have perhaps been a different context. But it came down to a wide, Ashwin having to chip the ball over mid-off's head. So the closer these contests go, it just makes this very storied, very treasured rivalry all the more fun. They've not met since Manchester 2019, where again, it was not a close match at all. India fairly comfortably beat them, just like they beat them at the previous World Cup. At the MCG, but in T20 since then it has gone down to the wire more often than not. I think that just sets the tone for tomorrow. Again, whatever we say here, that rain is I just can't get the rain factor out of my head. Let's hope, even if it's a 15-over shootout or 20-over shootout, we get some kind of match tomorrow in Pallekele.
So at least they have to play 20 overs, even if it's if rain comes to play, spoil sport. But we'll not right now focus on the rain bit of it, because I think it's just fun to build up this game. We don't get these opportunities very often. It's mostly in ICC tournaments or the Asia Cup. So we're just going to stick with what we're expecting. I'm going to ask you guys about your memories of first watching India-Pakistan and then covering India-Pakistan, Chetan, and anything that sticks out for you. Because, of course, fans, in the stadium are crazy. Fans on TV are crazy. We all remember every time there's a World Cup match between India and Pakistan, whoever loses, especially in Pakistan, we saw those videos of TVs being broken and all of that. But as a journalist and as somebody who's grown up watching India-Pakistan encounters with that kind of passion, your memories?
A lot of them, Meha. The first match I ever watched was the '92 World Cup, India versus Pakistan. Sachin Tendulkar playing that little bit of cameo in the middle order, and that's when as a 7-year-old I fell in love with cricket. I fell in love with the cricketer that Sachin Tendulkar is. That's where it started for me. After that, obviously the '96 World Cup. Watching that particular game with Amir Sohail getting bowled. And then Anil Kumble getting the last wicket, and we were having egg curry for dinner, and I spilled all of that over my younger brother and got a nice slap from my dad. Then the 2003 World Cup, obviously, fireworks, absolute fireworks with those. There were a bit of tense moments when Sachin got out, but Rahul Dravid and Mohammad Kaif, if I remember correctly, they brought India home. So. Terrific memories. Then obviously covering as a journalist, my first India-Pakistan game was in December 2009 or 2010. I don't know. At that time, the bilateral cricket was still on. Pakistan had toured India for 3 ODIs. There was a game in Delhi. So that was the first time I witnessed Pakistan. But it's very, very different when you're playing bilateral cricket. And it's very different in an ICC event. And I remember the 2011 World Cup was probably one of the last times when India and Pakistan were not in the same group, or they were not slated to meet each other in the group stage or the league stage. They were in separate groups. And therefore, we had a semi-final clash at Mohali. And obviously, the press box was jam-packed. You know how small the Mohali press box is.
Yes.
And it's like, you invite 200 guests into your living room.
Yeah.
It's that kind of a feel. And obviously the game was amazing. But what I will never forget, I know obviously MS Dhoni 6, Wankhede this, Wankhede that. But for me, the golden memory from the 2011 World Cup was after India beat Pakistan, 45,000 Indian fans singing Vande Mataram, A.R. Rahman's Vande Mataram rendition. 45,000 fans singing that at Mohali. I have a video clip of that somewhere. And that is something that just talking about it gives me goosebumps. So that's
it's just the same happened with me right now, just thinking about it. Yeah.
And obviously, Melbourne last year, I have a clip of, yes, it was 92 or 93,000 at MCG last year in November or October. And I think about 82,000 were Indian fans.
Yeah.
It was really heavily skewed in India's favor, probably 75,000, I'm not sure. But I have a clip of them singing the national anthem, and it was absolutely ballistic. I have never heard the national anthem like that. And it was just, again, goosebumps all over. And of course, Virat Kohli is not, he's destiny's child, really. I mean, only somebody like Virat Kohli is destined to play a knock like that. So these are some of the memories. There are more. Because since 2011, every tournament has had an India-Pakistan game. I've covered a few of them, but these are just immense memories from India-Pakistan that just, sit on the top of my head.
Yeah, I understand, why people from non-cricketing world, people who haven't seen this or when they see it for the first time get completely shocked by the craze, by the, by the manic celebrations, Jamie, for the team that wins from, a billion fans. But it is more than just cricket. And I know that in recent times, the passion isn't as much. But nevertheless, I mean, it's like if it was 100%, it's come down to 98, and that's still more than what anybody else would experience who's not seen this before, right? Because there are people who come from outside who watch an India-Pakistan match in India, right? And they are shocked by it, by the passion that they see in fans, by the emotions that they see in fans. What is it about India-Pakistan cricket for you?
I was those 6 odd years that I spent in the US for college and then a couple of years afterwards working. The amount of times I was told by some typical American fan how the Lakers and the Celtics rivalry was unbeatable, the Yankees and the Red Sox was the greatest rivalry in sport, and I just listened there, and then I'd be like, okay, now hold my beer, and this thing. I said, have you heard of India-Pakistan cricket? Cricket. Anyway, I said, I'm not even going to get the game. Has one country been divided by the bloodiest genocide in the history of the world? Have you fought multiple wars? And I'm not adding any effect. These guys would put their beer down, their jaws would drop, and then I'd have to educate them on what cricket was and what the significance of that rivalry was. Football fans have gone about United versus certain teams. I said, doesn't hold a flame to what India-Pakistan means,
Yeah.
So just from that aspect, it just because of all the things that I've just said, it just sends it to a different level. And just like we've been discussing, that's why the broadcasters, they would love to see India-Pakistan in the same pool more often whenever these tournaments happen, slightly depleted opposition, because it's when you get the chance to watch this storied, unparalleled rivalry, not once, not twice, but 3 times. It's a broadcaster's dream. And like we were discussing, let's hope this time we finally get that Asia Cup final between India and Pakistan.
To think that happened, despite the broadcasters and the fans wanting it, the organizers making sure that they are in the same group, we've not had India-Pakistan final. Okay, let's set this game up for you then. With bilateral cricket between the two teams completely off the table since 2013, fans of this intense rivalry have been left with only ICC and ACC events to enjoy. Since 2013, when it comes to ODI cricket, India have played Pakistan. They've met each other 11 times, with India winning 7 times and Pakistan 4. Their previous ODI encounter was the 2019 World Cup match in Manchester. But since then, the two have clashed 4 times in T20Is with the head-to-head at 2-all. Heading into Saturday's match in Pallekele, where rain unfortunately threatens to play spoil sport, there is little to separate the teams when it comes to their ODI form in 2023. Both sides have played 12 matches each this year, with number 1 ranked Pakistan winning 9 of those, including series wins over New Zealand and Afghanistan. Rohit Sharma's team is at the 3rd position on the ICC rankings table, and this year's they've also played 12 12 ODIs, of which they won 9 and lost 3, which includes a home series defeat to Australia. Now, while Pakistan are coming off a massive win over Nepal, in which skipper Babar Azam hit 151 and Iftikhar Ahmed smashed his maiden ODI ton, India have selection and fitness issues to contend with. KL Rahul is out for at least 2 matches and Shreyas Iyer is back after a long gap. Jasprit Bumrah is in line for his first ODI in over a year, but who sits out between the others who, or in fact, who sits out when he comes in? Questions and more questions for this Indian team. Of course, then there is the question of if Ishan Kishan plays, which he will, in all likelihood, where should he bat? So, a lot of questions for India. But when you look at Pakistan, it is a more settled outfit, as we've been saying. It's probably one of those rare occasions, Chetan, where Pakistan are going into this match with slight edge over India, which we've not seen before, right? Because mostly it's been India who've looked like a more settled outfit. But this time, things are different.
Yes, and I think probably if you look in hindsight, the 2021 T20 World Cup, you could have probably said the same thing, because now thinking about it, that T20 side, that Indian T20 side probably did not inspire as much confidence, and for good reason. I mean, the way they performed in that tournament. But the narrative definitely was not similar at all as to the current situation. So yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, Pakistan absolutely settled. I think they've ticked all their boxes in terms of the talent and the players available to them. No injury worries as such. I mean, obviously, Shaheen Afridi is the concern, but I don't think it's a pressing concern. I don't see headlines anywhere that Shaheen is not available, similar to the KL Rahul headlines. But yeah, so Pakistan absolutely settled. They've had game time under their belt, good points under their belt. A washed off game really helps them, because they get those runs, they get those points, and they go through the next stage. And India will have all to play for against Nepal, which is a weird sentence in itself. But yeah, Pakistan, yes, have a good run up to this World Cup. India, probably not so much. A lot of weird statements coming from the dressing room, whether it's from Rohit Sharma or Rahul Dravid. Not sure what to make sense of them or how to make sense of them. What I do know is tomorrow at toss time, once this team sheet comes in, I don't want to be surprised. I don't want to be thinking, oh, ye inhone isliye kiya hoga, ye unhone aise kiya hoga. I just want to see a proper playing 11, which makes sense as soon as I read it.
Jamie, how much of this will come down to who handles pressure better? Because that's going to be a big problem, right? And that's a big factor really in these matches, right? So you expect your senior players to come good in matches like this, because how does a Shubman Gill handle this pressure? That's for us to see. Then of course your bowlers as well. Jasprit Bumrah coming back from an injury. He's been out. He hasn't played ODI in almost a year. So who handles pressure better? Who's able to mentally be strong enough to grab the big moments in the match? How important would that be?
Very important. It would be unfair to single out a few players, but the fact is this is the match where you need the best of Rohit Sharma to come forward, the best of Virat Kohli to come forward. Players who've succeeded, especially Virat Kohli, succeeding pretty consistently against Pakistan. Rohit Sharma, the last time these two teams played in ODI, he got 100 at Old Trafford. That was a match-setting innings. So sandwiched between the vault of experience that arguably two of India's greatest top-order white ball players is Shubman Gill, who's yet to play Pakistan, right? So as good as he is, as long as we can see him playing for India he's going to have to be sorted, because he's playing Pakistan. He might be a cool customer, may think, it's not a big deal. But at some point, when Shaheen Afridi's got the ball in his hand and he's running in, we hope that Shubman Gill can absorb the pressure just the way that a very young Virat Kohli did when he first played Pakistan, a very young Rohit Sharma did when he first played Pakistan. Beyond that, Shreyas Iyer is coming back, so he's going to have a bit of nerves about him. A very, very tough game for him to come back. Ishan Kishan, I can't recall off the top of my head whether he's played Pakistan. I probably want to say he's not. And then Hardik Pandya and Jadeja after him, who have done well against Pakistan, they're going to need it. And Bumrah, I'm not worried about because, yes, it's been over a year. June of last year, I think he last played a one-day. But he's Bumrah. He's such a calm person. We've discussed his personality, you know. He's not going to have any extra pressure on him. It's the Shubman Gills, the Ishan Kishans facing this heat for the first time. Let's hope that, you know, they keep their wits about them because it's going to be very, very tough for them.
The other thing is the mutual respect that I don't know if you've been hearing from Babar Azam, what he has to say about Virat Kohli and what Virat Kohli had to say about Babar Azam, and which is nice to see because you associate this contest India-Pakistan with resentment and, you know, who's going to be better than the other and one-upmanship. This is what Babar Azam has had to say about Virat Kohli. He was responding to Virat Kohli's statement on him, and he says it's really good. This is Virat Kohli praising Babar Azam, and Babar Azam has replied. He says it feels really good when someone talks about you like this. Let's put that quote up for everybody. And what Kohli has said has made me very proud and happy. Such praise gives you confidence. When I met him in 2019, he was at his peak. He's still at his peak. I wanted to take something from his game. I learned a lot from him. He gave a detailed explanation to all my questions that helped me. When you do such things for each other, it feels good. So a lot of times we also have to understand that players, as much as they want to win against each other, when it comes to India-Pakistan, we've also seen camaraderie between them, you know, in the way Rishabh Pant walked over to Shaheen Afridi to ask him how he was doing when he was injured last year. But what makes a complete ODI batter? Yesterday I had a bit of a discussion with Chetan about the role of an ODI batter when we were talking about Suryakumar Yadav and Babar Azam. Let's put that up about Virat Kohli, and since it's my show, I can change it around to how I want it. So this is Virat Kohli. He has spoken about what is a complete ODI batter, and he says, I love playing ODI cricket. Let's put that quote up. And he says, I love playing ODI cricket. He says, I think ODI cricket, and now my producers are letting me down. Okay, there. I love playing ODI cricket. I think ODI cricket is one format which tests your game completely. Your technique, your composure, playing the situation, and playing differently in different phases of the game. So I think it tests you as a batsman completely. That's why I feel that ODI cricket has always brought the best out of me, because I like to embrace that challenge and play according to the situation to help my team win. So if you are Suryakumar Yadav, you cannot come. You could be coming in at number 6, but you cannot come and scoop the first ball over the wicket keeper and get out while you're trying to do so. But let's move on then. Virat Kohli, everybody's talking about Virat Kohli and how he has a role to play in this Asia Cup and then possibly in the World Cup. After Virat Kohli's heroics against Pakistan last year in Melbourne in the T20 World Cup, expect Kohli to put his hand up once again against a team that is coming off a statement win over Nepal. Kohli has played had played one of the best knocks of his career, scoring 82 of 53 balls, which included back-to-back sixes of Haris Rauf to take India to a dramatic victory in the last over. Now, those sixes, they've become part of the cricketing folklore as the best sixes played under intense pressure in a World Cup game. Kohli's record against Pakistan is fairly good in ODIs as well. In the 13 matches that he's played against India's arch rivals, Kohli has scored 536 runs at an average of 48.72 with 2 centuries and as many half centuries. The first of these centuries, a blistering 183 of 148 in Mirpur. That was in 2012 Asia Cup. That remains the highest score of his ODI career. So a lot will depend on how Virat Kohli plays against Pakistan, and of course for Indian fans, in the way he played in that last T20 World Cup, they would want a similar kind of performance from him. But Jamie, just coming back to the two teams, with rain threatening to play spoil sport, win the toss and?
Again, it's for me, the toss is not so important when it comes to these matches. If it's a shootout and then you end up being in a T20 type situation, then I'm assuming that the captain who wins the toss will again choose to chase. But in these tournaments, you want to win it. You have the World Cup looming. All three of us have been discussing about the specter of the World Cup looming. I would say put your best foot forward and just bat first, irrespective of what kind of overs you get in the match. Yeah.
But Chetan, would you agree with that, especially if DL method comes into play and, at least when you're chasing, you know exactly what to do?
No, I think irrespective, even if you have a full game, I think the team winning the toss would like to bowl first, because even if there's threat of rain, in a game like this, you want to be chasing. And the only reason why I would not want to chase in a full game is what we saw yesterday in the Sri Lanka-Bangladesh game. I mean, look how slow that pitch was. We've discussed in this show before the Lanka Premier League effect. The squares are going to be slow this time of the year. These pitches have been used heavily, and it was really a slow wicket. And I can't see how India will not play at least 3 spinners on that particular track, bringing in Akshar Patel as well. So obviously we'll discuss that in a bit. But with the rain threat around, I would want to definitely chase, whether it's a full game or a truncated game. The only reason I see for batting first is that slow wicket. But again, if it's a different surface, even then it's the same square. So we'll just have to wait and watch how it pans out for the two teams.
Okay, the other thing that I wanted to ask you is also about, if rain is going to be a big factor, is one spinner enough, Jamie? But that was a really slow pitch.
Yeah. Again, exactly like Chetan said, if it's that kind of a pitch, then the lure of playing in Akshar Patel would, of course, increase. But again, I mean, it's a tricky one. Akshar playing under Rohit Sharma, is he going to get a full quota? Where is he going to bat? I don't know. Between the two, I'm a big Akshar Patel fan. I think his stats prove that he should be playing a lot more. But somehow, if the rain is going to be as big a factor, that third all-rounder, I would lean towards Shardul Thakur, because he's not express pace and he has a knack of taking wickets. Akshar is more 10 overs, I don't know, 1 for 35, 1 for 40. Shardul might get you 3 for 45. And in my book, in such conditions, I would lean a bit more towards Shardul Thakur. But yes, if the track is going to be anywhere near like what we saw yesterday, then maybe Akshar does come in, maybe.
Okay, let's ask you both your playing 11. Who do you think should be in that playing 11? Let me begin with Chetan and then I'll ask Jamie.
The Indian playing 11?
Yes.
Okay. Since the last time we discussed the Indian playing 11, I've actually warmed up to the idea of Ishan Kishan opening and Surya Kumar Yadav batting at number 6. So I would drop Shubman Gill tomorrow. And I would open with Ishan Kishan, have him keep wickets with Rohit Sharma, opening with Rohit Sharma, then Virat Kohli, Shreyas Iyer, Hardik Pandya, and then Surya Kumar Yadav. And let's see how this combination plays out. And then obviously Jadeja, Kuldeep Yadav, Akshar Patel, and I would pick 2 spacers, Mohammad Siraj and Jasprit Bumrah.
Which then leads me to the question, Jamie, Hardik Pandya, if he's not able to bowl his full quota of overs, if Jasprit Bumrah is coming back from an injury, we don't know. I mean, he seems very fit. Is that taking a risk, not going in with Shami or Shardul? But that pitch is slow. Okay, you're playing 11 and then you can answer that specifically.
I'm just going to stick with what I've been saying all the while. Don't tinker with the top 4. So that's Rohit, Shubman, Virat, Shreyas Iyer. Because KL Rahul is not around, Ishan Kishan does come in. I'm batting him at 5, and Hardik at 6, Jadeja 7. I think an all-rounder has to play. Shardul is my first choice, and then you have Kuldeep, Bumrah, and Mohammad Siraj. To my mind, if Ishan Kishan is opening, he's a stone dead walking wicket against Naseem Shah and Shaheen Shafridi. That's why he has to bat in the middle order to me.
Okay, I'm going to talk about Shubman Gill as well and how this Asia Cup is important. We're all waiting for Shubman Gill and what he can do. We've already seen what he can do in the first half of this year. He's not been as consistent now, but what can he do? We talk about that. Okay, we've just put that up. So let's talk about him. He's already cemented his place as Rohit's opening partner. But now, with Ishan Kishan coming in, KL Rahul not being available for 2 games, we'll have to see where he bats. But he's put in some brilliant performances earlier this year, including scoring a century and a double century in back-to-back matches against Sri Lanka and New Zealand. Then he scored an unbeaten 40 in what was a successful chase before scoring another century in the next game. And from there on, we said that, okay, this is it. He's got to be part of that Asia Cup and the World Cup squad. However, since then, he hasn't been as consistent versus Australia at home. That was one series. And then the away tour of the West Indies, although he did end the ODI leg with an 85. But where they will play him, that also remains a question now with this Indian team. And that's the other thing we discuss, is that there are too many questions right now when it comes to the playing 11. So like Chetan was suggesting, should Shubman Gill come down? Should he stay at the top? Ishan Kishan at number 5 or 6? That's something that they'll have to decide. But having said that, in the way he is, Jamie, the personality that Shubman Gill has, I would think that these big occasions, quite like Virat Kohli, are the occasions where he will look to shine, where he will want to perform better. And that's why I feel like this match is hugely important in that context for Shubman Gill fans and him.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that he's done incredible things in the first 5 months of this year. But since the IPL ended, he's struggled. Yes, he got that 70-something when he and Jaiswal finished off one of the T20s against West Indies, and he got that 85 you just mentioned. But it's contrasting Shubman Gill that we're looking at, right? He still has 700 and something. I don't know exactly what your team put up right now. He's got 700 plus runs, which I believe is 350 ahead of the next Indian batsman this year. But again, are we going to talk about things that he was doing back in March, April, May, Jan, Feb? No, we have to look at Shubman Gill right now, what he brings to this team, what he means to this team, what he means for the World Cup, and what he means for the next 10, 12 years, right? It's time that Shubman Gill removes whatever errors he's making, whatever mindset that has had him endure a pretty rough tour of the West Indies across all 3 formats and score runs. This is his first major tournament in white ball cricket. The team needs him to do well. And again, for those same reasons, right? If there are doubts, and let's face it, I think we all have some doubt over the current form that Shubman Gill is. If he still makes your starting 11, and he does in my book, then you don't want him batting anywhere else. You backed him up till now. You backed him through the tough times. You need to bat him where he stands the best chance to do. And in my book, that's opening.
Okay, now the one big threat for India is Shaheen Shafridi. We've been talking about it. And in this build-up, let's put the quote of Shaheen Shafridi about what his plans are against India. Okay, I think Indian fans are hoping that he's not fit. I think that's the one thing, that's one way to keep him away, to stop him against India. But this is what he has to say. He says, in my opinion, my game plan is simple. Every opener knows my game plan. The goal is to always get the openers out to put pressure on the batting team. The middle order, when they come in, are not used to playing against the new ball as much as the openers. So there's a lot of pressure on the middle order to face the new ball. I quite like this plan. It's like he starts the plan with the assumption that he is going to get the openers early, Chetan. And I think that just comes from immense confidence in the skill that you have, which he does. How should India be tackling him?
Absolutely. I mean, that just tells me that he's targeting the openers, he's targeting the top order, and targeting the Indian top order means he's targeting the likes of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli and Shubman Gill if he plays, or Ishan Kishan if he plays. So he's targeting our top batsmen, and that's something that I've said earlier in the show as well, that Shaheen Shah Afridi has that knack of picking those early wickets, and that's why he's so dangerous, because if he ruins your top order, then you throughout the innings, you're in a rebuilding stage. And that is where the weakness of Pakistan is, because if he doesn't play and if he doesn't pick up those wickets, then what happens towards the middle part of the innings when the batsmen are set and they've gotten going? So for me, whenever Pakistan is playing or bowling with Shaheen Shah Afridi opening the innings, that for me is the most important stage of the game, because if he can pick those early wickets, he can dent your innings so badly that you will be in a rebuilding stage, and he can always do damage when he comes back for a second spell or has an elongated first spell. So it's going to be one of the most crucial aspects of the game tomorrow if he plays, of course. But for me, I would like to see that the Indian top order, because for me, the biggest question mark over this Indian top order is whether they can survive, whether they can do well against that left arm pace angle. And that's something that we've seen that has troubled them in the past as well. So for me, that's the most vital aspect. I would want Shaheen Shah Afridi to play, and I would want the Indian top order to say, okay, you know what? We can play you. We can, score runs off you. And there's no problem here. For me, that sends out a very, very good message ahead of the World Cup.
And this left arm pacer problem has been there with Indian openers. Yeah? You remember Trent Bolt, Jamie, him, Shaheen Shah Afridi as well. This is what Virat Kohli had to say about Pakistan bowlers. Before I ask you the next question, he says, I feel bowling is their strength. He's talking about how Pakistani bowlers can change the game anytime, which we've seen in the past, that they've got some really impactful bowlers that can change the course of the game anytime based on their skill set. So you've got to be your absolute best to face them. And that then leads me to the next question, just how balanced this bowling attack is, and how relentless the pacers are. We've already talked about their pacers, but it's not like you can get away in the middle overs as well, right, Jamie, with their spinners?
Yeah, in theory, Shadab and Mohammad Nawaz will cause you a lot of problems. But I just go back to that 3-match series played in these same conditions between Pakistan and Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan steamrolled for 59. The second match, their openers put on about 230, right? So there is room, there is enough belief. If Afghanistan can put almost the same bowling attack, I know Fahim Ashraf played those matches. He probably will not start against India, though he's got the best bowling average of all the current bowlers in this team when it comes to India. So there is enough to suggest, both in the way that Pakistan's batting faltered against Nepal, like we discussed yesterday, as well as in the fact that if Afghanistan can put Pakistan under pressure by batting 37, 38 overs and putting 230 on the board, there's no reason to believe that India cannot do it. It just comes down to how clicked on, how switched on Indian team is with all the changes, with all the injuries, with all the players coming and going for this big match. These matches, it's a cliche, pardon me, a lot of these matches are won between the ears even before the match happens. So yes, they have a fantastic bowling attack, which just blew away Nepal and did take them to a 3-0 win over Afghanistan. But the fact that Afghanistan openers put on 230 odd, India will be, you know what? I think we can do this as well.
Okay, now with the rain threat looming, do you think that there should be any changes in the playing 11, Chetan, for India?
Well, it just depends. I mean, I still would not want to play 4 fast bowlers given the pitch conditions. Even if the match is a truncated game, then you would want those spin options. And for me, in a truncated game, it's even more reason not to play that extra fast bowler in Shardul Thakur. In terms of batting, Akshar gives me the same thing as Shardul does. Probably slightly better batsman than Shardul Thakur, in fact. But given how the Pallekele pitch played out, I'm just looking down when picking my bowlers and not looking up, because in an ODI game, if it's not a morning start, I really don't want to be looking up. And again, so in a truncated game with a slowish pitch, I would want, because again, with 3 spinners already there, I would still have 3 pace options in Bumrah, Siraj and Hardik Pandya. So for me, Akshar Patel is the one who gets the nod for tomorrow's game. Although, if it was sunny and if it was a full game, then I would think differently, because Pakistan can play spin very well. But given how that pitch is, I think Akshar Patel is more likely to play than Shardul Thakur.
Jimmy, other than Pakistan's bowling, what else should India be wary of? We know how well Babar Azam batted. He's come in with a point to prove. Iftikhar getting his maiden ODI ton, and I know this was against Nepal, but the fact that they've done it in the first game would have given them a lot of confidence. The team would have got that momentum. What should India be wary of?
Just try to put them under early pressure. We saw, like I mentioned in the previous time, we were discussing Pakistan's bilateral series against Afghanistan. Afghanistan were able to have them 7 for 2, 52 for 2. So if India, look, India's bowling is very, very good. Jasprit coming back, Mohammad Siraj, even if Mohammad Shami gets the nod, these are all very, very good, effective bowlers, So just put them under early pressure, get Babar to the wicket as soon as possible, hold your catches. And I think the Nepal match has given India enough evidence. This Pakistan team can be put under pressure, and they could be rolled out for 235, 240 on a very, very good day. That could be a big total on a track like Pallekele on the basis of what we saw in the previous match. But I think that Nepal match, despite Nepal being absolutely slaughtered, has shown Rohit Sharma, what can be done. And let's face it, in the last 12 years, teams have changed, eras have changed. India are still 8-4 when it comes to one-day matches against Pakistan in the last 10, 11 years. So let's be hopeful.
Okay, just coming back to the memories, let's, we're going to wrap this up. So let's talk a little bit more. I'm missing characters in this Pakistan team, players like Inzamam ul Haq. Is that something you feel like this team doesn't have, fun characters? They're all very serious. They all want to win. I don't know. Because I loved watching Inzamam ul Haq play. Yes, Chetan.
Yes, absolutely. I think the mercurial aspect, the mercurial nature of certain Pakistan players has gone missing. And I think that comes from personality. Like I'd mentioned in the past as well, they don't have a fearsome spinner. Shaheen Shah is probably the only mercurial, in a way, in a Pakistan way, still that kind of a player. Even Babar Azam, he's just so... You don't see him having any histrionics. You compare him with Virat Kohli, but compared to Virat Kohli, he's actually a dream in terms of that he doesn't show many emotions on the field. So probably missing a couple of those characters, definitely. But I still see a bit of, there's ability in there for them to show some emotion, especially Shaheen. If he gets a couple of wickets up top, he will be jumping with joy, and he will have some gestures or something to say. So overall, definitely yes, missing those characters in Zamam or a Moin Khan or an Abdul Razak or a Wasim Akram or even a Saqlain Mushtaq. Saqlain Mushtaq was so brilliant to watch.
Yeah.
But something of that sort is definitely missing. But I think Indian team will be pumped up. Virat Kohli, as always, he's fabulous to watch.
Yeah. I still remember Danish Kaneria as well. Provided quite comic relief, Jamie.
I'm not condoning such behavior, but Inzamam ul Haq being called Alu by a fan and asking Mohammad Hussain to get a bat, at the Toronto Skating and Curling Club, these kind of things. These things have a certain place. It shouldn't cross the line, but there's a certain. It's that rivalry, that kind of. Characters which also add to India-Pakistan, right? Shoaib Akhtar was another one, always playing to the gallery, always had things to say, Virender Sehwag giving him a reply.
He's doing that now on social media.
He's cracked it. He and Ashwin have cracked the YouTube game, Moin Khan, I think I'm actually glad to hear his name being taken. I think very, very underrated as a player, but also as someone who could control the game from behind the stumps, not a Javed Miandar type way where Javed Miandar was the best of the best, but he let things get to him, right? That iconic image of him jumping up, that was because Kiran More got to him, right?
Yeah.
Moin Khan wouldn't let things get to you. So it's because we're all privileged to have watched these great characters. Maybe it seems a bit pika nowadays. It's also, let's face it, a very social media marketing driven thing where you perhaps that also has a role to say, let's not go over the line because you might lose lakhs of followers. I don't know. I'm just adding 2 and 2 together here.
No, possibly. But Wasim Akram asked Inzamam ul Haq after that incident that why did you get so angry? Itna gussa kyun hai? Paji, if hundreds of them are calling me Alu, won't you get upset? Chetan, you wanted to add something?
No, I was just saying that, Mohin Khan, yes, I took his name. So it's just amazing that, for a wicket keeper and for a Pakistani wicket keeper who was surrounded by the likes for so long, like Saklain and Wasim and Shoaib and Inzamam, all of them, Saeed Anwar, everybody, he was surrounded by all these people. And there you have a Pakistan wicket keeper just so calm in the middle of it and could read the game well, could control the game well. And he was a character in himself. I mean, make no mistake, even behind that calm, the way he used to talk to Waqar, or the way he used to talk to Saklain or Wasim, it was amazing. It was amazing. Just all of that, like Jamie said, because we have seen that, we're probably missing it, and kind of, pity the generation right now that they won't get to see those players in their prime, the India-Pakistan contest in their prime.
Absolutely. And also hearing all these players, I mean, you sit with them and they tell you about the banter that they would have in Punjabi with each other. It was fantastic to hear, but now no more. Now it's all serious business. Everybody is serious out there, taking themselves too seriously sometimes, I feel. But in the end, thank you so much, Jamie Alter and Chetan Narula, for joining us. We're going to wrap this special India versus Pakistan. That's what we're all looking forward to. Hopefully it'll be a close contest. We're hoping rain doesn't play spoil sport. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं, जो कि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं।